So it's Wednesday.
It's Underwater Wednesday. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today in the pool, we're going to be looking at the difference between living rubber and silicone skirted jigs and what makes those different.
Okay.
I will tell you one thing. I know, and guys up here know, that on Lake Geneva, if you're throwing a living rubber skirted jig, you are going to get bit about twice as much as somebody who's throwing a silicone skirted jig. Same color, same jig. The only difference is living rubber versus silicone. You will get bit twice as much on a living rubber as a silicone. I don't know why, but I've got some theories and we're gonna test those out, not only in the pool, but we're gonna use the fact that it's 0 degrees out, or negative, it was -9 yesterday. We're gonna use that fact to test another theory that I have. Stick around, guys. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to MFO, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
I'm Megan Fuller.
So we are in the pool today and we're talking about living rubber versus silicone jigs and skirting material.
Can I see some of these?
Absolutely. And this jig here is living rubber. And I want you to feel that. That is a kind of a different feel than this jig, which is made of a silicone material. Feel that. Okay.
Okay.
Now they're both pretty similar.
Okay.
The one thing that I would say, just if you look at these two, next to each other out of the water, I think the living rubber has a tendency to give a little more full look. Do you agree?
Yep. Yep.
But again, that's out of the water, so that doesn't really mean anything. You will notice with the silicone, you can do things with the silicone. You can put different colors in, you can put specks in, you can put tinsel in and things like that. Not that you can't add strands of tinsel into the living rubber, but you can do things to make silicone jigs a little bit more colorful. Okay. Typically, the living rubber comes in solid colors, so you can take a brown and mix some purple and things like that, so you can get different colors, but it's pretty much solid. The rubber doesn't necessarily change colors. It has a fuller look to it outside of the water. When we get in the water, one of the things that you're going to notice is, especially when the bait lands on the bottom, is that jig will puff up. On the living rubber, those rubber strands will puff up and they will kind of undulate with very little movement from the jig, and you can either move the jig or even just the currents in the water will move that. Whereas a silicone,
picturing like a jellyfish.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Whereas the silicone will kind of do that and then slowly kind of fall to the bottom. And if you move the jig, it'll come to life again.
Right.
But the living rubber almost kind of lives up to the name in that it is living without a whole lot of action from the angler. Okay. What we want to look at is, number one, what about when the bait is moving? Because that scenario that I talked about at Lake Geneva, we don't ever fish those jigs off the bottom very much. We're taking those jigs off the grass, off the top of the grass. We're swimming them through the grass, ripping them out of the grass. And what I'm wondering is, what does it look like as that jig is being ripped out of the grass? What is it that makes that living rubber entice smallies to bite, where the silicone jigs doesn't really do that?
Okay.
And then I have one other theory that I don't know whether it's true or not, but we've got a vat of water sitting outside in our -5 degree water temperatures out there. And we're gonna bring that in, so we're gonna have some extremely cold water.
Okay.
And we're gonna put those jigs in that extremely cold water and see if the rubber versus the silicone, does water temperature play any part of whether they look more alive in that colder water. We know that Lake Geneva is typically, it's not necessarily 40 degrees in the summertime, but it is a clear water, colder water body of water, and I wonder if that has anything to do with it as well. So we'll test that out and see.
It's like a science experiment.
It is. We're ready to kind of get in there and, you know, check all things out. Living rubber versus silicone. Let's get in the pool and see what we see. Well, Megan, I don't know. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, I think this episode, I don't know that I answered a lot of questions, but I'm looking for answers. Yeah. And if you have any of them, or send us your comments and let's see what we kind of get from everybody else here. Definitely there's a difference between the two types of skirting material. And there was a difference in that icy cold water, but again, I don't know how practical that is. It was just, you know, we had the ability to do it and I did it and we kind of showed you that too. But if you guys have any ideas about this, living rubber versus silicone skirts, and I will tell you, and I will stick by this 100%. If I'm on Lake Geneva, I won't throw anything else because I've just been crushed too many times by the person in the boat with me, you know, who's throwing living rubber and I'm throwing silicone and I'm getting killed. So it makes a difference in some places. So guys, we hope you'll enjoy the episode. Send us your comments for sure. This is one we want you flooding us with and giving us your opinions. And again, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stick around for another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors.
Stay channeled.